just with CenturyLink and, you know, with a variety of other carriers and stuff like that. So we do that. We're involved with Access Egan. You know, they've provided fiber throughout Egan, and so we partner with them, and we utilize their fiber, and we pay a little bit for that. So that's a partnership. But no, I think it could be in a variety of ways. It could be simply funds that are available to, you have a targeted area, you have a company, Paul Bunyan or Harvard or whoever it is, you know, we apply for funds to share in the cost to develop some of these areas. But keep in mind, there's probably not a lot of people in some of these areas we're talking about. You may find 5 residences that you're going to haul a long ways to get to provide them that high-speed internet. Okay, so it's pretty expensive to get out there, and you've got 5 homes, and you can't charge that much because they're not. So you got to be competitive on your rates, and so they want you to return on that. So you can see the difficulty. So it shouldn't necessarily fall on one company to make that happen. I think it has to be shared if it's feasibly going to happen in all areas.
We were trying to get outside the box a few years ago, and we were looking prior to an RESU fund that you got, but I think from Paul Bunyan, but making some low-cost funds available to telecoms in our area to do some of the rural area, but then that kind of went away and it wasn't quite as demanding. Gene, you might have been out of the room when Rod threw out a challenge on sales tax stuff when you're buying, what was it you asked again? If you're looking for ideas on shifting, balancing, or how we can justify that?
If there are ideas on what the state can do to help with this area, because I get what you're saying. Now, I live 8.5 to 10 miles north of Clearbrook, and I never thought that I would get high-speed internet, to be honest with you, but I did. And I don't know how Garden Valley afforded to go up and do that, but it's fantastic what they've done. But if there's a role for the state to play in providing that type of service across everybody, I'd like to know what those ideas are. I don't have the solution. I know that somehow Garden Valley isn't doing that out of the goodness of their heart. I don't assume they are. So they figured out some way to make it pay. But we're pretty remote where I live, and we've got really good service.
Is there a need for low-cost funds, loan funds, or?
Well, I think it still comes back to, you know, that would help, but it's still the payback. You know, you still got to pay it back, and even if it's a low-interest loan. Yours, I don't know, maybe Ryan, you know, I think at the last meeting we talked about, it was $10,000 a mile by the time you figure it and everything, just before you even serve anybody. Is that a post number?
Yep.
So, you know, you go a mile, 10,000. Well, you can't expect 5 people to, they're just not gonna. So, even though you have to pay, if you can get a low interest loan, that helps. But I'm not so sure that's the answer. You know, if we look back and somebody mentioned the telephone and the REA, and that culture back then, everyone said, you know what, our dial tone is so important to us, let's make that work. But since the funding has shifted, they haven't made that leap, I don't think, quick enough into the broadband to say, you know what, it's important for the schools, the hospitals, and everything else. So we have no means to recoup that investment money. And I think that's really where it seems to just stop.
Well, that's universal service, and that's certainly an option at the state level as well. There's some states that have implemented universal service for that purpose, whether it be for phone back in the day or for broadband. So, I mean, that is an option at the state level. That's the federal obviously does that today with the phone line. It's still based on the phone line. And like I said earlier, that's our hope that they change that to a broadband requirements instead of a phone line requirement, because it is vital now, as we've heard from many people in the room, for a lot of different reasons.
Do other states have statewide universal type funds?
We're taking a lot of the funds, or they're coming out to the rural area and say, hey, build us a new place for the Vikings to play. They go back to the same way, right? Now let's put some of that money back out to the rural area that's helping the city succeed.
A few years ago, we had an estimate in Hubbard County that would be about $15 million to build out fiber to all of the other not served areas at that time, and I know it's got to be less than that now, but I don't know what that county is. That number would be in Hubbard County or statewide right now. We're gonna go back.
Just because, so those states that have these universal service, how do they fund that? Do they have a fee on everybody, or what do they do?
I think it varies by state. I don't know the individual details of each, but I know that there are some that have done that as a way for the state to get involved in it, to push it.
I'm just curious, I've got a little question mark here, so I'll see what.
And I can give you that information.